Hey everybody, welcome to Art Conspiracy. I'm Amy, and today's video we're going to talk about something that can be potentially very scary, which is to ask for feedback on your artwork, how to ask for feedback, or to how to give it. So I'm going to cover those two departments briefly. I think this is very helpful for everybody because you're either an artist or you look at art. Basically, everybody falls in one of those two categories. And if you've ever been asked for feedback, it can be kind of scary. You're not sure what to say. So anyway, I have some guidance that I think will be helpful. This pertains to getting and giving feedback in a sort of a personal situation. So it's not about how to evaluate art if you're looking in a gallery or in a museum or even online, where it's, not personal and we're just looking at the art elements. That's a different video. And this is kind of solicited advice. So the first thing I'm going to do is talk about it from the artist's perspective. My number one advice is to provide a little guidance for the feedback that you're looking for. Be specific. I can remember inviting Jimmy into my studio and having a whole wall of drawings and saying, "What do you think?" And inevitably he'd be like, "I like them all." Like, I think it's hard for people to sometimes have an opinion. They're not sure what you want them to comment on. And so they end up maybe just saying, "Oh, they're all great." And that's not helpful. What you're looking for is real feedback. So be specific. Talk about a specific piece or compare to, and tell them what you're trying to do. Say, does this look like mom? If you're doing a portrait, or I'm trying to express, the concept of the very rich versus the, all the poor people at the bottom, and that's my message. And do you see it? Or I'm really exploring color, and I what do you feel when you look at this particular piece? So ask them questions. And that helps them. Just like blankly saying, "What do you think?" is, hard for some people, puts them on the spot and they don't know how to respond. So, take a little responsibility and guide the critique for what you are asking for. I think that's a really good rule of thumb. Consider the source of the person that you're talking to. If I ask an artist friend of mine, it's likely to be a different conversation than if I ask somebody who I know doesn't really know anything about art. And their opinion is just as valid, by the way, because I'm not making art just for other artists. I want, everybody to be able to see my art and to get something from it. So asking a total novice or a total, person that doesn't know anything about art what they think is valuable to me. So, but do consider it, because that is also going to inform the way that they respond, and whether they have language to, or the ability to dissect, oh, the color from the line or the composition. Other people might just say, "Well, I like it," and then you might have to probe them a little. Well, what do you like, or what don't you like, or is there something you have a question about? Like, you have to kind of interact with them a little bit and help them. Okay, this is this is a really big one. Okay. Once you ask, then shut up. Like, don't try to talk them out of what they think. Don't try to argue. Try to keep a straight face. Like, be tough. Don't, you can ask follow-up questions. That's perfectly fine. You can ask follow-up questions. But, just if they're talking, you just let them talk. Take it with a grain of salt. It may be feedback that you can use. It may be feedback that you think is ridiculous. But just let them have it. Let them have their feedback and you take it for what it's worth, so don't say anything. So don't try to change their mind. So anyway, that's from the artist's perspective. And before I forget to say, it really, really is helpful to have a few people in your life that you can count on to ask them for their opinion and sort of nurture a relationship with them. And also people that maybe see your work over a longer period of time, because they also have a much more informed opinion about what you're doing, because they've been seeing it all along and it's not just a one-off. So think about that. And again, it can be people that know a lot about art. It can be people that don't know a lot, but that know you and that are supportive of you. And so it's good to get their feedback, okay? Okay, from the person who's being asked. Now, I think this is scarier. I really think that a lot of people are like, oh, what am I supposed to say? Somebody's asking me my opinion. So here is some guidance. One, questions. Ask questions. I said that about the artist, and I mean it the same about the viewer. It's okay to say, what are you looking for? Is there anything specific you'd like me to comment on? Or even just, I'm not sure what's happening over here. What were you trying to do? Can you explain that to me? Or I'm not sure I understand something, or this feels in conflict. Like, you can ask questions, and sometimes the best feedback is just to mirror the artist to get them talking again. That's very supportive, to ask questions of the artist and then let them jump back in, and that might lead to your next comment or your observation. And sometimes you need a minute to look and to think. So you have your knee-jerk response, and then you have sort of a longer response if you take a little while. So stall. Sometimes you can stall a little bit, but ask questions. That's the main thing. Okay, this is a big one. And this is hard. Don't overly praise. I think that is the default. Oh, you're so good, that's really nice, but it's not helpful. It's just not helpful to artists. Like, we all want to feel that. I mean, and I want you to say something positive for sure. That's part of the feedback and I'll get to that, say something, lead with something positive, but don't jump to the praise. Like, take it seriously. We're all works in progress, and I think that means a lot more to the artist than if you just jump in with, you're so talented, which, just between us, it's not an insult at all. I know it's meant as a compliment, but it kind of discounts all the work that you've done to get as good as you are. Like, being good at art takes a lot of work. Talent is not, that's beside the point. It really is. So saying you're so talented, maybe don't say that. Another thing you might not want to say is, oh, I wish I could do that, because the answer is you could. Like, you could, but you didn't put in the time and do it, so you can't. So anyway, it's like not a given that you just are doing it without any effort. So anyway, you could say that, I appreciate the effort and the skill that I see. That's legitimate praise. Oh, another thing, don't say it looks like a photograph. I'm going to do a whole video on realism and that topic, but a lot of people, when they're looking at art, they don't feel qualified to evaluate other than, does it look like the thing? And often, or does it look like a photograph? And so if it does, they can say, oh, it looks just like a photograph, and they think that's a compliment. But I don't think that's a compliment. I think, art should be something different than the photograph, something that shows the artist and the expression and the interpretation. Just copying the photograph, like, yeah, that's the skill. And you can say, you're very good at copying photographs. Anyway, that might be a sidetrack, but think of something else to say. That's not particularly helpful. Oh, you can say too, right away, thanks for asking me for my opinion. That's a very nice way to respond. If somebody says, what do you think? Say, thank you. Thank you for asking me. Okay, the third thing is trust yourself. Even if you have no background in art, no education, no language, and it all seems like a big mystery to you, you have a right to an opinion as much as anybody else. You really do. So just be humble and know that you're coming from that place of sort of not knowing a lot formally, but you still can have an opinion. You can say, that moves me, or I like that color, or I don't understand it, or, whatever your honest feeling is. Or what is that in the corner? Can you explain that to me? Like, I'm not sure how that relates. Again, back to asking questions, which is a great thing, rather than, I think this, I think that. Like, take it in, digest. But do find something. It's not always easy, but try to find something positive to say. Right in the beginning, it sort of sets things off, on a good foot. So if you can find something like, wow, that color is very rich. Even though, the face, the nose is over here and like it's Picasso on a bad day. You can say, oh, that red is so vibrant, find something that you can say. Okay. And then give them the heave up, the, the punch. Tell them what you really think. Anyway, okay, this is a good question here. What if it's really, really bad? What do you do? What do you do if it's really, really bad? Okay, you gotta fake a little. I mean, you gotta find something that you can say or something that you think is working. But I have to tell you, my favorite critique line that I got from my mentor, Mr. Keyes, long ago was I showed him a sort of it was sort of a cubist kind of portrait of my brother, Michael, that I had done. It was in acrylic. It was terrible. I'm sure it was terrible. I don't have it, but he looked at that and he said, that's not entirely unsuccessful. And that's a great line. It's funny. They don't know if you said something good or something bad. So anyway, you can keep that in your pocket. But you can also just say, I really appreciate, the effort that it looks like you put into this. I'm not sure I understand it. I mean, that's, you don't have to say I hate it. You can just say I don't quite get it. Can you tell me more back to the questions? So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I hope that's a little bit helpful. The main takeaways, I think, from the artist's perspective is to give them some guidance, be specific about what you want them to talk about, and then zip it and just absorb it, take it or leave it, but just, nurture that relationship so that they're comfortable telling you what they think and they're not worried about hurting your feelings. And from the viewer, you have every right to an opinion. Just try to say something, find something positive and ask good questions and you'll be good. So that's it for now. I'll make that other video on the realism coming up and maybe how to evaluate art in a gallery, museum. That's for another day. So signing off. Mwah. Everybody stay safe out there.